proven wrong here because I really, truly believed it. I said they were one of the most consistent teams in EUL. They come into stage 2 and it's like Caster's curse.
It's been a weird one. A really weird start for G2. I agree with you absolutely. Looking at the major, they made it to the final. Everyone thought they were set to beat BDS, and then BDS did, well, BDS things. NaVi, on the other hand, as we all know, have had trouble. They were plagued last season with inconsistency, with the inability to really find that form that made them the world champions, of course, in Tokoname last year. So now this is their chance with these changes coming in. If you haven't yet seen them, they've got Blur, they've got Joe on side, 2 boys from the UKs that they picked up. So now we are looking at truly a UK massive team. It's making me and Fluke very happy, as you can tell. But it's about finding results now. It wasn't the best first week for them either. So both of these teams, I would argue, are 2 teams in the trenches right now. They've struggled a little bit, and now it's time to climb over, step forth onto the breach, and really start picking up those points. Because for NaVi especially, it feels weird to say it, but it's starting to almost feel like they're teetering towards relegation here if these results carry on going the way that they are.
Well, there's a multiple different bit of things I want to pick up from the start of this particular matchup. First, the Hibana and Maverick dual ban. We spoke about in the game between Rogue and BDS, how sometimes those dual hard bridge bans come out. It was the Maverick and the Ace last time, and now it's the Hibana and the Maverick, and that will force them to bring the likes of Ace and Thermite. As you're seeing here, Uno's going to take the Ace, and Pengu's going to take the Thermite. Oftentimes, you'll see Uno on the Thatcher. Whether or not we see a 6 pick as a result, there we go, and it looks like Kanto will pick that one up. And looks like there's a lot of chat going on. If you've read any of that chat, one of the things brought up was that Echo is auto-banned at the moment. He's sitting in a little bit of his own quarantine box. His gadget will get fixed at some point, and when it does, it will come back into competitive play. But at the moment, it gives a little bit more freedom for bans on the defense, and that means that G2 got rid of Maestro instead, which I actually think does put a big hole in players like Kendra, for example.
Doki's the one who's been playing an awful lot of Maestro for them as well, though. So it's kind of weird seeing Doki go onto roles like that, thinking about it, because it is a Doki. You think of Doki, you think of this little git that runs around the map on something like a Jaeger and wants to frag everyone. That's kind of how he made a name for himself. He was very feast or famine as a player. But I remember speaking to him a couple of weeks ago around this lineup and said, okay, well, we know that Joe comes in as a player that plays like you. He likes to be at windows. He likes to cause trouble. Where does that leave you? And he was like, well, Joe's taking over mild roles. You'll see him being the one that is playing that more aggressive style. I'm still there to support him. We've still got Sage being on that entry sort of role. So Doki's kind of sitting as in the most weird way, the smallest linchpin in the world of this whole team, kind of sticking it together in the middle. And then, of course, you're looking towards Kendra, and who I'm calling Kendra's apprentice in Blur, sat at the back as well. So there's lots to be excited about for this team. We only really saw them wake up and achieve their full form in the second game last week. This could be the chance where we see them at full strength. But as you said for G2, this is their chance to regain hope and trust from you. This double peek coming outside the main door, and Uno gets put in the dirt by Joe after Blur took the opening engagement. Those 2 new players I spoke about, they strike big at the very start of this round.
It's funny, actually, 3 of the operators who could possess a C4 here, only one of them has a C4 in hand. One of the hard breaches gone, but that's okay because they made quick work of this wall. The Thermite coming in very handy. Of course, Kanto Raketti wasn't the one to go down, so he's able to get his EMPs out just in time. Now he can go work on other parts of the map, and whether or not they go for this garage control or they decide to rotate over and do construction pinch as well will be left to be seen. I think Pengu did get on the roof, so maybe that's something that they'll think about doing. Very strange, though. I think Doki's the one holding over into Benjamin construction. Joe's below him. What a weird setup for multiple different roles on the side of NaVi here, running out, free kill. There goes Pengu, and guess what? No more walls will be getting opened.
Man, to get the 2 hard breaches at your first 2 kills is massive for them. But like you say, it's about getting that cheeky little kill. Both of them coming through onto those crucial members as mentioned. They lose the execute power. And Joe, my God, man. I mean, everyone was looking forward to see what this guy could do on day 1. It was a very muted day 1. But so far it has been Joe finding a triple kill, Blur getting the 4th, and Doki getting the 5th to complete a flawless round. That was like watching a pro league team come up against a ranked team that are trying to think of a strat to do, but get shot as soon as they get anywhere near the building. What a first round from NaVi.
And a flawless one to kick things off. I don't think it'll go in a flawless fashion throughout the entire matchup, but that's definitely a statement to make in your first round against G2 with your new lineup. We've said from the very beginning of this stage, when all of those teams made roster changes, it's either going to be amazing or it's going to be a flop. And for most teams, it's been pretty damn amazing. So we have to shout out to those teams who made changes, who made role changes, full player changes, whatever they may have changed in their particular lineup. It's really working for them now. And NaVi is one of those ones. It's almost reminiscent of the Secret development that we've seen. It's a great arc for them. It's a great new trajectory for them. And it might shake up the leaderboard exponentially.
That's kind of the intent, I think, coming into this, was to see these two step into a more aggressive role, because they lacked that fragging power a little bit last season. Now, we know that we had Doki, we know that we had saves, but I think they were looking for something else, because Doki's now got all this experience built behind him over the last year and a bit. And speaking to SI early this year, he does speak as a guy that's really concerned about the mentality of the team, their performance as a unit. It's not just about him and his ability, it's about the whole collective. And I think that's why they've made these aggressive changes, put them into kind of his, dare I say, grunt roles of going out there and killing people. What more fun could you possibly ask for? But it does let him take this more kind of central flex role, like I mentioned. Really exciting stuff for that first round. Very, very convincing. G2, less than convincing. Still got a lot more to see from them, and Joe's going for it once again out a window by the looks of it. Give him the time and he will leap.
Surely they know this. They know that Joe's going to be looking at a door or window somewhere, and it's Uno, the one who was the victim last round. He doesn't want to die to it again. They must have had a drone, and they must have heard of this being prepped as well, whether or not that drone was in there or not. And it's like Joe knows. He's got this sixth sense about him where he's like, I think someone's watching me. Maybe I should wait. Maybe I should work this out. Perfect timing. Are they prepared? Spot someone, and Uno finally gets his revenge.
Uno's revenge. Uno reverse, some may say. Played the right card, and Joe's the one taken down. That is so patient from G2, and this was my fear when I saw that Joe was the guy joining this lineup. We know what he likes to do. He likes to be aggressive. He's out of windows. He's doing runouts. How do you counter that? You just play very patient. You get on your drones. You hold those angles for each other. Oddly enough, Jess, you play like a structured team, and that's worked wonders for them there.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, sort of, I guess, sacrificing those 10, 15, even 20 seconds sometimes to hold an angle really wins out. Saves was right up against the breach there. You can see on the CCTV wall. Had he peeked out and had Uno still been up on the catwalk of the spawn there of kennels, then he would have netted another kill. Is it worth the time delay? Sometimes, yes. But it depends how aggressive the team's going to be. For the most part, we've only seen Joe really fling his body outside. So I guess G2 can feel a little bit more safe now that he's off the board. But it's wasted half the round, and they really don't have a lot of map control yet.
Oh, naughty. I was waiting for that to come through. It was going to go one way or the other, but it's Saves who gets dinged in the head, and down he goes to Virtue. I was going to comment on how aggressive NaVi are being on the roam here. Let's not forget they're defending downstairs, yet have been playing with a couple of members trying to cause chaos on the upstairs floors, looking towards Joe, and of course out towards Saves, who are both now dead. It did burn, though, about 100 seconds in this round, which puts us down to about a minute left. You've got to deal with an excellent side player in Kendrew, Doki with a shotgun, and Blur, Kendrew's apprentice. So they could do a lot of damage here in time, but G2 have got the numbers advantage, so we absolutely cannot count them out yet.
Absolutely. We're coming down to the 40-second mark, and that's when you generally see teams try and sort of make some pace, get some of that side control that they need. Drones are zooming around, and almost all of them are destroyed now for G2. Pokeball is almost going to take Uno's life, 50 HP as an impact should upon direct impact, and now Blur is hoping he can push back this blue hold. Oh, looks like he's going to be the Pokemon he's catching today, and we're down to 20 seconds. G2, they got to speed this up.
Naughty little self-tap there with the impact, not going to achieve much, but Uno strikes up, finds a double in this round. It's all fell apart here, unless Kendrick can work wonders. Somehow I really don't think he's going to. He does find one, but G2 with a very decisive round. And here you see the size between these two teams. You see the aggressive roam game coming out of NaVi, which works wonders in the first round and gets flawless. The second round, G2 slow down, play the more tactical drone-based game we know they're more than capable of doing, and shut down that roam game. Now the question is, which way does it swing for these next 4 rounds? Because we've seen the best of both teams. Now it's going to be this awkward struggle in the middle to see which way it lies.
I was really critical of G2 back when I did some content for Ubisoft during the mini major, actually. And I said, you know, I really feel like Clubhouse is a map that they should avoid. There are other maps where they find their strengths, you know, whether or not it's a little bit of time management structure that they're struggling with. And Clubhouse hasn't been a good map for them historically, even short and long term. So I kept saying, you know, I feel like this is a map they should avoid. They should avoid. When I saw the map pop up during the analyst segment, I thought to myself, oh, not again kind of thing. You know, I feel negative things towards this map and G2 playing on it. And that round came down to the fact that they all push one-dimensional through blue. I can't name an area of the map there where they pushed in sort of simultaneously for a pinch other than blue. It almost seems so one-dimensional that you were talking about rank strats before. That's how I felt. And that's such a shame because G2, they know what they're doing. I mean, you got the likes of Shaz, you got the likes of Sewer around you, you got really big names on your roster. It's strange to see them playing this way when they have so much, you know, I don't know, potential.
It is a weird one. It's been a shaky 2 or 3 games for them so far, but we all know what they can do. We've seen it at the Major. We've seen it multiple times over at other tournaments and stages throughout the last year or so. So let's see if it's just a bump in the road. A small bump, should we say, as they always say. Class is temporary, but form is temporary. Class is permanent. Other way around. Totally not a Freudian slip, I promise.
Well, it doesn't really matter what kind of slip it is because I don't think G2 will want to let any more rounds slip out of their hands here, and as any team doesn't want. But for the most part, what they're looking for here is to get the most attacking rounds they can here on Clubhouse. I mean, if we look over to their stats here on Clubhouse, they've won 1 round attacking on CC, 1 round on Church and Arsenal, and 2 on the Master and Gym in all of their history since June of playing Clubhouse. That ain't good. So you gotta buff those stats up, G2. Those are rookie numbers.
Those are rookie numbers, she screams. They are. They need more. They definitely do. And speaking of needing more of something, points is the one thing I mentioned earlier on around NaVi and relegation potentially becoming a thing. They finished 5th. They had 12 points. They were tied with Virtus Pro, 1 point above Team Vitality and 2 points above Tempera. The team that you're looking now that Team Secret have jettisoned themselves into the atmosphere and are no longer part of this relegation scrap, you're looking towards Team Empire. 9 points in the last stage. They're so far on 3, giving them a total of 12. NaVi currently sit on 14. So you might argue, I guess Tempera are kind of slipping into the scrap as well, but NaVi are definitely not clear. So it's about time they start grabbing some points here, and 3 points would be huge for them. G2 I'd wager are already safe given they already sit on so many.
Well, half the round has elapsed, and I would argue that G2 has more map control than they did in the round preceding, and as a result, we'll see whether or not this first engagement goes the way of G2. It doesn't, and it looks like they want to kick things off. It's almost as if Joe and Blur are at the forefront of almost all of the opening frags thus far for NaVi, and the rest of the NaVi players, they're just waiting things out.
I love everyone else just sitting back and going, I'm so proud, they've grown up so fast and they're doing all this work for us. And it's working wonders for them. And even Citizen getting put in the dirt and Blur saying, you left NaVi for G2. What a mistake that was, my friend. But thank you for the opportunity it has presented us. No drones left on the side of G2. There's 3 left on the side of NaVi. 40 seconds to go. And Kanto looks so lost, stepping through all these smoke clouds, slowly seeing that health bar slip away from him. But still something left for them. We've seen Pengu, one of the greatest clutchers in EU, has the opportunity to work some magic here, but he's got to go through this solid backline of Blur and Kendrew, plus saves who's still left alive. 20 seconds to play with Jess here. It feels like it's stagnated out for a brief second. Blur striking from blue. 1's left alive. Diffuser's on the ground somehow. I don't think Kanto's got enough beans left in him to be able to pull this one off. Blur's going to collect what I think turned out to be his 3rd or 4th kill of that round and give NaVi round number 3.
I don't know what's gotten into Blur and Joe, but it was almost as if the first 2 matches were just a warm-up to their ultimate form. And I know that's an awful reference, and I get it, you know, weaving out a little bit here, but...
Totally fine by me, Jess.
Of course, you understand me. You understand me. But it's like we're finally seeing their full capacity. And when you pick up players, especially players that aren't necessarily known, I mean, outside of the UK, a lot of people wouldn't have known these names, you know, Joe, Blur. I mean, people wouldn't have known these names, NaVi's picking up. Who are these? Well, this is why they picked them up, is because they knew their potential, they knew their capacity. And I mean, did Doki even really shoot at a player that round? This is what we spoke about with BDS. BDS has their support players that don't really need to do anything because their front runners are doing so much. And if NaVi can build that same kind of mentality structure in their team, then that's going to serve them really well. And you spoke about relegations. Imagine you're in a position where you propel yourself into the top 5, being NaVi, after being scared of relegations in the first stage. That's awesome.
Well, Blur and Joe at this point have nearly got 5 times as many kills as the rest of the team combined, and truthfully the rest of the team don't have an awful lot. There's 1 on Kendra, there's 1 on Doki. Saves yet to get himself involved, but does have a couple of assists to his name. And I think when they first joined the roster, everyone looked at it, like you said, and said, well, who the hell are these guys? Like, why are they picking up? It's such a risk. And even Doki, I spoke to him at the time, and he was kind of, not so much nervous, he was confident, but he acknowledged that, okay, yeah, I'm paid for this, looks like a really bad idea, but we're going to go for it, because we have faith. We do believe that they can achieve great things. And I said to you at the start of the game as well, this this is the time where we might see them evolve into becoming the greats that we didn't see back in the last game, or not in the first game. Second game, they got better. This one right now is where they are showing up, and I would love to see the NaVi of last year reborn. Into this round, though, CCTV and Cash, where we're heading to, is exactly the same as we saw back in round number 1, I believe it was. So it's time to step up and find themselves going another way. That last round was very defensive. It was basically NaVi sat on site and waiting for them to come to them. G2, Virtue especially, already being challenged once again here and down to just a slither of HP.
Surely not again. Surely it's not Joe peeking Virtue on the sledge yet again. I don't know where that engagement happened. And oh, God, they're in the same spot as last time. Joe, please, they're already down, bro. Oh, my goodness. Whether he runs out of double doors or he peeks from the top window, he's like an enigma. You don't know where he's going to be next. And he never repeats the same jump out twice. That's something I've got to give him props for, because you could say that he's got these monkey plays and he's really aggressive and he's all aim, no brain. But I'm sorry, there's a lot of brain there when this man is consistently trying not to be predictable.
Doing the hard yards for his team, and it's brought down the hard breach again when it comes to this site, like we saw back in round 1. Quite early on as well, inside 45 seconds. In fact, their 4 opening kills so far have gone 230, 215, 120, and 215 left on the clock. Wow. All 3 of those have been so ridiculously early, because it's about disrupting G2. It's getting up in their face and not letting them be comfortable, and I love it.
Well, less than half the round left, and I'm not entirely sure whether or not they were able to get the wall open with Pengu, and if they have, that's good, because at least they will be able to hold the rotate. But Pengu says, okay, I need to now enter into construction. How many of those does he have left? Can we get an extended view there, please, as Blur takes out Citizen yet again, and Kanto claps back on Doki. So that's a really good trade back there, but I'm not entirely sure if they have another hard breach in the hand of Pengu, and if they do, no, they don't. They've already opened the wall, so they won't be getting this construction wall over, and with Pengu getting the diffuser in his hand over on the construction side, this means they're going to have to walk through the door, and that's exactly what he's going to do.
Going to push him really aggressively here for a spray to come out of Kendrick, playing at the top of red, and brings one down. Joe injured in the process, mind you, so it's not quite as clear-cut a victory for NaVi as you might think. Once again, it's stepping up. Blur actually taking his place and finding a triple kill in this round. NaVi playing a very interesting game here, actually, where they're now, rather than sending a couple out on the perimeter, saying, look, Joe, go and try and do your thing. If you die by yourself, not a problem, because when it comes to these site plays, my God, are we good at them.
I'm a little flabbergasted. I am. I don't think there's another word for it. And in fact, I actually learned that word, speaking of UK Massive, I learned that from a UK author, the word flabbergasted. These two players flabbergast me. Yes, you guys have done, you know, you're the reason I exist, actually. Australia only exists because of you guys. And yeah, not a great story, but nonetheless.
That's right, we like you. That's why we want to pull you over to Paris at some point. Just drag you out. Okay, look, come closer to home. Come back to where you belong.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. I'll be there eventually.
You and your funny accents, yes.
I do have quite a deep accent, and for people wondering, I am Australian. I do, especially when I'm living overseas, try and diminish it. Yes, I do try and, you know, suppress the Australian accent a little bit so it's not so harsh, but being back in Australia for 9 months now has made it a little stronger than I intended, but nonetheless, speaking about strength, flabbergasted by Joe and Blur. They're absolute monsters. And in fact, we're speaking about Joe a lot. I actually think that Blur is a more consistently impressive player. Right place, right time, headshot percentage I would love to see on CGG after this, because it's not something that a lot of people look at, but is a very key statistic in being able to analyze whether a player has good crosshair placement. And that's something that coaches sort of look at every now and then, and that's something that I think Blur has down pat.
But let's not forget as well that they had him on side for a short amount of time towards the back end of last year to kind of stand in for them, be that pickup player. Clearly liked enough what they saw to bring him back in and give him another shot and actually say, come and join the full-time roster. Let's work on you a little bit. Let's improve you as a player. Let's give you the support staff around you and know what they're up to as well, or what they're doing. And clearly it's working wonders for them in this game at the very least. And like I keep on saying, I'm really keen to see how game to game, when do they finally trajectorize downwards? Because the last 3 games, they've got better and better. However, Uno is getting far too used to being run out. And he's like, Joe, I'm sick of this. I'm done. I'm striking back. And he brings him down. The key thing here is there hasn't then been a second death coming through onto NaVi straight after. That's what I said in the last round when they have 4 left alive. Stay on site, play the site play because you play it so well. But there is nothing wrong in losing Joe and trying to kill an early hard breacher.
It's almost always that Joe can sniff out where the hard breacher is. 9 times out of 10, it's been Uno that has been his target, and it's been Uno on the hard breach. So it's a pretty funny one that he tends to be the victim, but it's good that he's able to be more aware now and he's able to get that revenge. It seems that the gunfights have been 50-50 at the moment. And now Kanto Raketti underneath. Not the best game for Kanto, considering he is the Ashman. He's the main fragger and entry there for G2. So whether or not that's been part of their downfall here on these particular rounds. And now the drones are coming in. Oh no, Doki wasting his ammunition on the wall. Will he be able to get the kill? Yes, he does. And that's Virtue down. No grenades anymore, which I argue they probably should have used on the shield to start off with. Or at least cook some of those ADSs. And well, there goes the C4 as well.
No way does he make this alive. No way does he get out of here alive. He's got 1 pushing in from inside of CCTV and 2 pushing up red. If he gets a second kill here, it could be massive. Tries to get 1, can't quite get it. Pistol out and gets the down at the same time. Pushes in towards red, and finally Uno will collect the kill, the second kill of the round for himself, that is, to bring things back to 3 apiece. But that was a great play from Doki, wasting not only time, but bringing down 2 members on the side of G2.
Uno's so very low here. Not sure how many Selmas he has left. 2, I believe, in the pocket, and he runs into a goo mine. And if he runs into any more, he's going to have to pull them out almost instantaneously. He's too low HP. It will detract on his health too much. And actually, there's another one right in front of him. I can see it there. Smoke Babes rain out as well. And with 30 seconds left, well, they're actually quite early considering. And G2 does have the time they need. And saves, finally. He'll get Citizen, and now it's up to Kanto Raketti and Uno. And as I say that, Uno goes down. It's all up to the fragger of G2. 1v3. Saves Blur, and Kendrew's still on the line here, Des. Banshee giving away his position. Oh no, impacts as well. Blur knows how to do it all.
And this is what G2 have got to break. This is what they've got to work with here, is again the adaptation by the side of NaVi to say, right, saves, no more playing aggressively, no more playing on the roam, come and sit on site and be playing aggressive inside the room instead. Because he walked from inside a bathroom there, up in the top right corner, right down towards the mattress, sat behind that and challenged from the bomb chassis onto window, killed Citizen, swung out on the pixel angle and found 1 in construction door. The man, they didn't expect him to move that aggressively, I don't think. It just got caught unawares by him there, but really good play by Says to find 2 very critical kills. NaVi sit at 4 and 1. I'm really excited to see how their attacking rounds go, but on the side of G2, I will also give some credit. Uno, when it's come around to these opening duels, currently 2 apiece with Joe. Joe has killed him twice, he's killed Joe twice. So it's back and forth between those 2 all the time. And for a player that I think probably until this season, everyone would say, oh, you know, Uno tends to be 4th and 5th in the ratings, doesn't contribute a lot. He's always been the IGL, that's sort of been his big focus. This season, in both of their 2 games so far, he has been the top-rated, top-fragging player. I don't know if that shows that it's a bad thing for the rest of the team or a really good thing for Uno. Probably more towards the former, but either way, it's good to see him demonstrating that he can still play with the best.
Well, NaVi has 1 more round here on the defense, and it looks like they're going to choose to go downstairs. Their setup looks to be pretty usual, pretty meta. Not sure if they'll have that rotate between the hallway and armory over towards the double doors of church, or whether they'll just keep that as a line of sight. Looks like they're just going to keep it actually above head height, possibly to give Saves the opportunity to smoke over behind box 3 and the default plan of B-bomb if he wants to. So doesn't give them the opportunity to shoot back unless they open a hole there themselves. That's a nice little one. And the rotates in the middle of the wall instead. So if they want to challenge the church double door, they're going to have to go right up into the rotate hole, which puts them in a really precarious place. So I like this adaptation. Oh, stop it. At this point, just stop it. It's awful. G2 must be, their comms must be so erratic right now, going, not again, not again.
Now, I imagine it's much more erratic than that, and probably full of far more vulgar language too, to describe Joe and his antics so far in this game. Because as you say, it is constantly for Joe. Every battle has been before the 2-minute 15 mark. He is trying to get involved in an opening kill in every single round before we hit that 2-minute mark on the clock. And they got it right once, the side of G2. In fact, twice. The first time round when they were watching the window he was waiting to jump out of. The second time, Uno just knew that he was coming out of the garage door. Whereas it feels round to round, they just can't seem to keep up with it. I bet they can't wait to go on the defense. They haven't got to deal with these crazy plays coming out of Joe.
Well, this is the last round for Joe to do it, and he's capped it off in style, taking out the soft breach and the grenades, which is actually quite huge when it's bottom floor. You know, you generally want to rip up the hallway, you want to rip up kitchen. You also want to try and get rid of any of those shields or those banshees that might be persisting around. Blur's played 100%, and at this point, it's just awful. for G2. That's C4 raining up through Motor Hatch. That'll catch Pengu. He got one of his exothermics down. Uno's still alive, so he'll have his Selmas in hand. And it looks like they're getting a little bit sporadic here. They just want to get things open because they're panicking.
Panicking indeed, although they do manage to find something back for themselves here, and it's bringing something somewhat towards balance here. It's still a 4 versus 3. There's still 60 seconds to go. G2 with a couple of drones left on side. Something I've always criticised them for has been weak drone play towards the later stages of the round. In fact, it was on their game against against NaVi on Cafe last season when I first really caught it, was how often they were out of drones come the 30-second mark. Here we've got 45 seconds to go, and there is one left for Uno. Wouldn't be horrifically surprised if that is sat somewhere on a flank for them, so they have nothing to push into the site, and Saves and Kendra are more than happy to step up and go, thank you very much. We're here to collect our taxes, and the price is death. 4 versus 1 for NaVi. 30 seconds to go, and Kanto once more, I doubt, can do it all by himself. We all remember those old days when he could, but sadly, Blur and Joe are on the field.
Well, someone had a little bit of a magic trick go off there, but looks like another round in the hands of NaVi. Halves will switch. But I tell you what, when I said this was my last predicting hope here for G2 come this third game of this particular stage, that's it. Even if they do come back in this half, their poor showing in this particular first half of this game and combine it with the other games they've played so far in this stage 2 has looked really weak from a roster full of stars. I don't know what's going on, because if there is not a singular player on that entire lineup, Pengu, Citizen, Kendra, Raketti, Uno, or Virtue, that you couldn't turn around and say was individually a star player, because they absolutely are in their own right. Whatever is going on, or whatever glue they're trying to use to stick them together, it's not the right glue. I reckon you've just got to scrap it all, reform everything together, and whatever's been, I don't know, going against them in all of these 3 games, and even a little bit in the major as well, in the major finals where they were 2 maps up, you've got to argue that you're just better off just trashing it all and going again.
I don't really want to focus on one player on the side of G2 too heavily here either, but speaking of UK Massive, let's talk about Citizen for a brief second. A fragger that many held in ridiculously high regard. We all know how capable this guy is. We've seen what he can do. He was an absolute demon in 2019. But so far this season, in both of G2's games, he's had 44% and 42% cost. He has been very limited. He hasn't gone positive in KD once. I don't know what's happened to the fragging front line of this team in terms of Citizen being the real spearhead for them, but he has been quiet. He has been silent, and even in this game now, he has 1 kill to his name across 6 rounds. This is not the Citizen we are used to, and we need to see him and the rest of G2, as you say, returning to the form that we all know that they can get into.
Well, Kendra Raketti's going to pick up the Vigil here. He was Ash on attack, and now he has his ability to run freely around the map with his particular ability. No drones will be able to spot him, but as he pre-fires everything, his traces will give him away anyway. Uno will pick up Joe, and that's a great pickup there out of the Zofia. They want to get rid of these real key players for NaVi, and Joe is absolutely one of them. Saves would be the next, I argue, and as Blur decides to hit the roof and possibly go for another drone. Looks like this extended roam here from G2 is working wonders. There we go, UK Massive, as you said, and now he'll be able to pick up onto Blur, the other key fragger that we were talking about just a mere round or 2 ago. And this is looking so much better here for G2.
Much better because they got rid of the 2 fragging members on the side of NaVi as well in Blur and Joe. So it's a good start for them. Now you're looking at who else on the side of NaVi can do damage. Apparently it's Kendra who's playing upstairs, I think. That's a lie. It's Virtue playing on the upstairs, holding these vertical angles and trying to achieve something for them. Down to 2 left. It's a 4 versus 2. G2, 1:30 to hold out for here. I don't really see how NaVi can close this one out. I say that as Kendra has found himself inside of sight without the diffuser, but a kill to his name. 3 versus 2 and still a lot of time to play. Oh my god, no way does he achieve that one. Citizen streaming around the corner, picks up Saves, puts it into a 3 versus 1, and now Kendra's like, oh god damn it. Not much to be found here, but at least G2 keep that dream alive. It isn't going to be match point for NaVi. It isn't going to be a guaranteed draw, and his explosions sing out beneath his feet. Surely these closing few shots should come through. No, he gets one himself actually. It's going to be ace or bust. A triple kill for Kendra as he looks to rotate away, knows that he has got so much time to play with here, still has both smokes left on side if he wants to make use of those, as well as a couple of Selmas, so shouldn't feel too pressured that he has to take a particular path in.
He has a drone in pocket as well, so if you wanted to intel collect, he could, but oftentimes if defenders hear you go on the drone, it means your death is incoming. Good angle behind the bomb chassis there for Kanto, and Kendrew says goodnight, and that is a more convincing round from G2 than we have seen this entire matchup, but it has come in the second half here, and if G2 is going to rely on their defense, if this does manage to go to 6-6, I wouldn't be surprised. But they would have to win, what, every single round from now onwards to achieve that?
I'll always say I need some consistency before I make a solid judgment. That sounds horrifically biased. I'm talking about NaVi here. In that Blur and Joe both got picked off at the start of that round. That's the first time we've seen that happen all map. If it happens again here, then clearly they're playing a bit too aggressive, and G2 know how to bite back and pick up the kills they need to collect. But if they can slow it down a little bit here, NaVi, this is, and take a bit of time, drone things out, as scary as it is for Joe, slow down, don't try and get every single entry kill. They might find themselves in a bit of a better position come execution time.
Well, this time the site will be CCTV. If you just look at everyone's utility here, this time we've got 3 C4s on the side of G2. NaVi were playing for gunfights here. They were playing to slow down G2. That's why a lot of the usual C4 plays either had impacts or barbed wire. This time G2 is saying, no, we're going to use our C4s. We have a lot of them in hand. We'll see whether that works to full effect. Whether or not Virtue will play down below as well, because you got to also think, okay, how are they going to get this wall open if anyone decides to trick it? That's the big thing. Maverick's banned, so that's the one big counter to a bandit trick. The only other way to counter it on this particular site is to go below. Whether they use Doki's grenade, they use Joe's Zofia gadget, or they use just something else to go below and deal with it, then that's typically how you would expect them to try and counter this. So if they do go below, they're going to be met with Virtue, I believe. He might decide to rotate down. I'm not sure who else is rotating. You see Citizen roaming pretty far on the map as well. So I want to see them challenge it like they did in that particular last round, where they really stopped NaVi in their tracks early on. Almost a taste of their own medicine, rather.
I wonder if Citizen's trying to be cheeky here and looking for a run out near the pool table as well. I thought he was for a brief second. It looks like he's actually right by that window. And they know that this wall's being opened up, so he's in the right spot, but it's Kanto to bring down Kendrew. After he used those Salmos to start opening up the wall in towards the garage, that's going to be the ace removed. So G2 giving NaVi a taste of their own medicine here and bringing down those hard breaches early is definitely doing some damage. And here we go. Blur should be able to get this open with the assistance of Joe from below. No, they're going to be able to trick it off. Oh, that is pain. Pain defined, ladies and gentlemen, because with that smoke coming down, in fact, that is so big brain. With the smoke coming down the stairs as well, blocking off Joe from being able to go and contest the hole that it opened up from above. That's why you could see him getting there to make that one work. Still trying to contest up, but already in a spot now where they are at such a massive disadvantage. What a round start this has been by G2.
Oh, the angle, Joe. Jesus Lord, through the bars with a 1mm sight. Oh, he's got 1 and he's got 2, and well, now the wall gets open, and whether or not it was worth challenging that, I mean, if you're Uno, okay, why not? You have the downward angle. That is the preferred advantageous angle. But he loses it. And not only does he lose it, but when Virtue comes to trade, there's no trade. Ah, that's a harsh one for G2 here, because if NaVi win the next round, this can only go to a draw. And if you're G2, that is the worst outcome here, because a draw or a loss here shows that you're not able to get any more points on the board. And as teams like NaVi, Team Secret are moving up the leaderboard and you're staying stagnant, that's not good.
It is not a good look. I mean, when you've got players that can do things like that, then great. But I was going to say, Kanto already found Kendrew back at the start and set up here in Raptors. I'm not sure they even knew that he was there with no drones around, but gets sprayed, as it looks like by the sounds of it. They've pushed their way in towards site. The problem is that the diffuser is outside garage, so someone's going to have to collect that and bring it along. C4 from below from Citizen. It's a 2 versus 2 as no one was covering Lounge. Pengu collects 1 more onto saves. It's now all down to Doki. It's all about him versus his old teammate and no doubt one of his good old pals in Siege. A lot of work to do. Pre-fires the right sort of angle, but ignores what's going on. Doesn't know that Citizen's tucked into the side of storage. Picks up that kill, and G2 make it 2 in a row. Is this the start of a comeback, Jess?
It's really hard to say because that was a close round. It did look like it was going into the hands of NaVi, but when Blur jumped in and he went behind the default plant spot, I wasn't sure if he was going to start a plant because, as I said at the start of the round, they had 3 C4s in hand. You've got to be prepared to challenge those C4s below. I mean, for the most part, people just get someone in stock, and if they can hear someone below going for the C4, boom, you can challenge them. But they were down on numbers. Trade after trade after trade was incoming, and they didn't really have the man count they needed to get that plant happening. You need 1 garage, 1 on the breach, 1 planting, and 1 below to really achieve that kind of counter, and they didn't have that man count. So it wasn't really on NaVi there. It was just G2 had the right counter. If Citizen wasn't below, that might have been different.
Fortunate, but hey, this is what happens without the drones down there, without the coverage inside of Lounge where we saw Joe playing previously. These things will happen. Gym and bedroom where we head to next. The offsite here for G2 as they've won those last 2 sites means we do have to head towards the third. And here I'm keen to see what the focus is from G2. Is it going to be vertical play downstairs? Is it the extended hold out towards the east? And equally for the side of NaVi, how do they split themselves up? Do they commit a Selma towards the CCTV wall out towards the east to make sure again that no member of G2 can contest onto the west window? Or do they look towards Jacuzzi and just putting all their time and energy into that? Thank you very much, Easy, for demonstrating what it was I was just referencing.
I'm looking at the stats here for G2, and, well, Master and Jim is their worst site by far. By far.
What a surprise.
In fact, they've only won it once in my stats here, and the round length went for 2 minutes, 45 seconds, and almost every time they've played this on the defense, the opposition has been able to play it.
You know what I've just remembered? Do you remember this game versus BDS last season when it looked like it was going to end 6-6 but ended 7-5? Because at the time, G2 brought along a mirror. They put the mirror window inside a construction looking in from logistics, and Virtue looks away for the smallest of seconds. And in that time, Shaiko slips in from cash through construction, down into site, and kills 3 people and wins BDS the round to take it 7-5. It was unbelievable. So going by that single memory that I have very, very fondly, quite clearly because I remember it in very explicit detail, this is not a super solid site for G2.
Well, you can't always have superstar players like Shaiko, but Joe and Blur are looking like they might be those superstar players. Give them a little bit more time. That Jacuzzi wall will get opened up, and it looks like it'll be Uno inside a bathroom to impact trick the bathroom wall. Some teams will keep it closed, but I have a feeling NaVi wants it opened. He has only 1 ADS with him, and Joe kicks things off by getting Citizen 1 C4 off the board, but that doesn't really matter. They've made a lot of shotgun holes on Jim, so if someone does play below, they'll have the opportunity to be able to play those vertical holes instead. Cantor Ricchetti getting droned out in logistics. It looks like they're extending this hole throughout onto logistics hatch, and they want to play as aggressive as NaVi has played with them.
I like that at least they're being willing to get out in the map and tango with NaVi a little bit, knowing how it is they've tried to approach things so far. And to give it to G2, they've done a relatively decent job of clearing out some of these drones that have been coming through so far. Most caught out as they enter in towards the site. I'd imagine the remaining few are now sat more for flank watch purposes than actually sitting inside the site and feeding intel back and forth. With this diffuser still out on towards the Jacuzzi balcony, though, and 3 members of NaVi all gathered up, Kendrick to the south, this is screaming to me there is going to be a smoke plant coming through soon, most likely in towards Jim.
The timing. That was awful for Virtue. He should have picked up Joe. The timing was bad, but he might have a redemption here. Cantor Ricchetti gets Joe, and, well, doesn't matter. Looks like his teammate will do the job for him. Oh, good spray out there, but it barely nicks the side of Kendra, and he decides to drop down, which is what they need. They need someone below. Look at all of these vertical holes. What if someone rotates down at the last second? 30 seconds left. Some of those smokes might have to be used, and I think one already has been. He's dropped below, so he won't be in a good place to be able to use them. And now the time delay is dwindling NaVi's chance of getting a plant off here.
Done a really good job of wasting time, but 2 kills come out of nowhere. Doki and Blur strike big. They get it down onto saves, but Blur still in possession of the diffuser here. Has a chance, but it's Pengu with a shotgun. We spoke about him in these clutch situations, and Virtue goes big. Another one comes out, but it's Doki to get the kill. Will he be able to find the last? He's running away. Shotgun at the ready, and Doki tries his best, but Virtue strikes down and gives G2 their 3rd round in a row. Let's not forget, when NaVi were on defense, G2 won round number 2, but so far, G2 have not missed a beat.
Oh, these rounds are coming down to these last 1v2s, 2v2s, whatever it's coming down to at the end of all of these rounds, I feel like G2's barely scraping them by, but they keep doing it round after round after round. It's that steadfast hold on the defense that we expect of those support players, especially. You speak about Pengu. You said, you know, we expect good clutches out of him every now and then. I haven't seen a good one from him in a very, very long time, which is a shame because he's very capable. But that play there just shows me he's still absolutely got it in him. And well, look at the scoreline. I can't believe I'm saying this. I mean, it's like I've cursed them, but in a good way. I said to G2, put my money on you here today. And, well, that's a figurative statement there, if you ask me. And not ask me, it's absolute figurative statement, just so we don't confuse people. But, yeah, that's huge there. That's huge. My prediction, if it comes true, it'll be out of the fact that G2 pulled themselves out of a rut, which is what they were in the first half. And that mentality is really hard to get out of, Des.
It felt like they just really couldn't answer Joe in the first half. The constant aggression coming out, they didn't know where he would spring up, when he would spring up. They had a rough idea of when and where, but not a precise enough one to stop him from putting a bullet in their head first. That was the big challenge they've really faced, and I'm glad they finally got their way over it and are starting to work through this now. It's converting it into a win that is going to be the next big deal, though. And I feel like they can do it with the momentum they've got, showing they can play all three sides. They can most definitely do this. And NaVi are just stuck. Since that since the halfway mark where we swapped sides, they haven't found themselves a single round. Okay, yes, they've come close once or twice, but no one cares how close it was. A round is a round, a goal is a goal. You've got to get it over the finish line.
Well, this time it'll be Joe to drone himself in to make sure that this C4 won't get... Did he just... The man doesn't miss. So that C4 will get shot mid-air, and Joe saves himself from almost imminent death. And now he expects the jump out on him that he would most definitely do to his opponents. That means Citizen C4 is gone. Whether or not Uno has one or not, that means that might be the last C4. But they'll be, I guess they'll be relying on Pengu and his smoke babes here. That will be the big key for their plant denial if NaVi does get close enough to the plant. And given that they should have map control at the moment, there you go. Yes, they'll have middle and top floor now in their hands. We saw G2 do an extended roam last time. They've swapped it up, decided to do a turtle hold this time. And with no C4 at play, they're just going to have to let Doki start opening these things up, and either they challenge it with their weapon des or they die to that challenge.
Gotta be so wary though, Doki, as well. You never know who's waiting nearby and who might catch you out if you're not too careful. It only takes the smallest of angles and you are in hot water, young man. As a quick note, actually, I went back over my notes from last week of when when NaVi played up against Tempera. And in the first half, it played out exactly the same as it did against G2. Admittedly, it was 5-1 to NaVi here rather than 4-2. But it was all about Joe's aggression at doors and finding multiple kills for them. The second half, though, that's when NaVi really fell apart. I've said here they didn't threaten too hard. Their attacks needed to tighten up. And things just didn't look like it really came with any pace or ganache to how they were approaching the round. Oddly enough, that feels exactly the same here. And I wonder, no doubt, if G2 have gone back and watched a number of the games or the rounds that they saw from NaVi and thought, okay, we know that when it comes to them being on attack, we can stall them out, because so far they've done a pretty good job of it.
Failed impact tricking there means that most of this wall will have some kind of line of sight. They've done a bottom left there so that you can do a prone angle across the stairs. And that's where Saves is right now. If he wanted to lay down, he might be able to see an angle, but clap back. He does get to use all of his Selmas at least, but Virtue as well, kicking onto Joe. Joe not had a good attacking half here whatsoever. And now it's up to Doki, Blur, and Saves to get access to sight. There's still more than 30 seconds left, so they could calm it down. They could get some drones out and work out where players are. But this bomb chassis position, you should be able to clear it. There's only 2 angles he could be at. You need this pinch push, and you need it now.
Almost trying to catch one on the spray across there as well. Blur's got to be so careful. Why would you stand back in that line when you just shot at it? They knew exactly where you are. You've got Doki upstairs, but look at the health bars on the side of G2. Quite a few members starting to run low, but there is nowhere near enough time. NaVi, the curse from last week, strikes again. Too slow on the attacks, not enough pace, and G2 are more than happy to collect round number 10 and put this at 5 apiece. I want to say I don't know which way it's going to go now that we're going to see all 12 rounds, but I think you, and the viewers all know where we expect this game to go.
G2's defensive-sidedness is immense. Whether it's the map or whether, I mean, I don't have the statistics here from their previous games in this stage at least to say how defensive-sided they are. But it just goes to show that You should never count a team out in the first half. And that's exactly what I did. I mean, if you go back and I'll be going back in the VOD myself just to see exactly the moment that sort of clicked for G2. I think it was exactly as the half switched that we started to see so much success from them. Not a single round here from NaVi that I have thought was super convincing at all in any way, shape or form, but almost the same sentiment to G2 as well. I think a lot of these rounds have come down to, like I said before, 1v2, 2v2s, etc. That round was one of the most convincing.
I really want to know and see what NaVi look like when we step away from Clubhouse. And part of me thinks, do teams want to take them away from Clubhouse? Because you know what they're going to do. They'll now have played it 3 times. I imagine on Navi's side, they probably want to ban it away against the next team they come up against. Because you've shown everything now. You played it 3 times. They know what Joe's going to do. They know how you attack. They know that you've got problems with your attacking pace and how aggressive you look when you're on the attack. It's kind of unfortunate because I say as a defensive team, they look phenomenal. Like with Joe's aggressiveness on their own, with how Navi, the rest of the team play when they're on site. Brilliant stuff. It's actually now to... Mate, not again almost.
God.
We saw this... Didn't we see this like last week when someone was trying to reinforce really late and nearly got tapped?
Yeah. Yeah, you and I were watching it together too. That's hilarious that we're going through that yet again. Joe almost got a free kill onto Pengu. That was brilliant. It's interesting to see that the way that Joe plays on attack is that he's so wary of every door and window. And it's because he knows what it's like to be a defender that leaps out of every single one of those or peeks them all. I'm surprised that for G2 at least, we only saw a little bit of early aggression from Citizen in the first few defensive rounds, and then they've quietened it up. It's almost as if they know that playing together has reaped more rewards for them. And I'm glad that they're playing that way because it's worked really well for them now. And I hope that Citizen at least keeps his C4 in pocket for this round because last time it saved them the round. So it's got to be playing on his mind this round.
There's a couple outside. Oh, my. Runs straight in front of Blur, playing down on the west window and gets himself snagged out there. And it's always a risk you play in trying to be the bandit player here. You're walking in front of where there might be grenades singing in, which is the wall. You're stepping across to that window to keep yourself safe from said grenades. You might get shot from the window. That is the first time we've ever really seen, in this half at least, NaVi find any kind of advantage to kick things off. That opening kill was a great start, but now they've got to convert it and keep on pushing towards the win.
Pengu taking a really aggressive angle on the wall here. Joe not really interested at the moment. He's more interested in cash door, as you should be. Generally, you'll see a shield there, but now they've opened the CCTV wall. You see Kendra, he now wants to open the cash wall. Look at the time in hand for NaVi. We spoke about their mismanagement of time. This round, it's looking so much better. And Kanto, hello, Pengu, hello? What is going on? They're gifting Joe all the kills in the world. And when I said he had a bad attacking half, G2 felt bad and started gifting him kills.
My God, how did Kanto not know he was out there? There's a massive breach behind you, man. You should know about these things. And Pengu, I completely get the idea. Swing out and go for the traders. Maybe he's trying to reload, but it absolutely wasn't the case. It's now to a 4 versus 2. Things are getting opened up all around them by the sounds of it. There is going to be work here for G2 to hold on. 40 seconds to go, and you can hear that construction wall being opened up. Virtue with a second onto what, make it a third as he picks up saves. Is this forcing it through to match point for G2, or can somehow NaVi drag this one back? And Joe, he's found 3 kills so far. He's going to have to make it all of them. Makes it a third for himself. It's a 1 versus 1. Who wins this gunfight? It's Joe versus Citizen. The replacement versus the replacee. But it's Citizen who wins. Down goes Joe, and G2 will guarantee themselves at least a draw. And NaVi must feel like they might be about to become the chaos of stage 2. They drew twice on Clubhouse last week, and here they are 1 round away from either losing or getting yet another draw, Jess. Oh my God.
This comeback is amazing. And a lot of people will say NaVi choked, but I think if the starting sides had been switched, we would have seen it go the exact same way that we've seen this scoreline go right now. And I do just want to give you props. That was some of the best play-by-play casting I've ever heard you do. Some. I mean, it ranks in the top 5, absolutely. I mean, I can't think of all the rest, but that was absolutely beautiful. The replacee.
I won't lie.
That was great.
That compliment came from completely left field. I have no idea what to say to that. That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Really? No, just take it. Nothing meant.
I'll take it. Okay.
Yeah, good. Nonetheless, you said it beautifully. G2 is now at least walking away with a point, and sometimes in the leaderboard, that's exactly what matters. That 1 point, that 1 round differential, that 1 head-to-head even, is what keeps you in a certain position on the leaderboard and what gives you those extra needed points. I don't think G2 is anywhere near worried about relegation, for example, but for the most part, when's the last time we haven't seen G2 involved in, I don't know, 6 Invitational or some kind of major of some kind throughout the year? I mean, to not have those big names there, no matter who's on the roster, is a bit of a blow, and that's playing on their minds as well. So that's another thing to think about. But, oh, G2, last round here, they get defense. Surely, given their history on this particular match, on defense, they take this round? Or is this where NaVi turns around and goes, we've learned our lesson, we know how they play on defense now, it's taken us 5 rounds, but we got this?
I don't know, man. I don't think so. Because they got gifted 2 kills there. Gifted, well, I say gifted. The first kill wasn't really a gift, it was a good kill. The second one was a gift. You might argue the third one from Pengu swinging out was also a bit of a gift. You're swinging into a Zofia, she's going to keep on gunning, you're going to die. They had 3 dead on the side of G2 and still couldn't bring things back. I think this is where G2 take this one. I don't want to say it's the start of a resurgence, because for G2 in the first half, they look like a team that was lost. But here, these 3 points could at least remind us that they are a team that's highly capable, and as we see in the second half, they might just be able to complete 6-0.
If there's a team to do it, it is G2, and now Uno will scour through those Valkyrie cams to give Citizen the information he needs. He is playing sort of alone here over in Cash, and he doesn't really have any reinforcements with him, so it's a dangerous hold to be doing solo. Generally, you'll put a lot of reinforcements over there to assist you at being able to hold that out for as long as possible. Joe's job looks like he's just stopping anyone from peeking the CC window. That's his job. He hasn't moved in. I don't think he'll move in until late round, and now he's letting the rest of his team focus on Jacuzzi wall. Will they also get this bathroom wall this time? I believe they have. And this is a big difference from the last time they pushed Jim. They didn't open any of that wall last time. Now they have it open. This could be the key to the draw for them.
Oh, Joe shuts down Citizen, kind of completing the return on that duel they had at the end of the last round. Virtue will trade it back pretty much straight away. And Uno, I've mentioned already what a game he's had today. And although others have caught up in this second half, he kept the dream alive and is now still delivering for the team with a second wonder shot onto Doki. And that right there is good night, not just to Doki, but to the dreams of NaVi. It's 2 versus 4. One comes on the window. Virtue is there and shuts him down. And NaVi at 5-1 must have thought there is no way this ends over. Joe and Blur were in heaven, experiencing pure elation at the result of how they have basically won this game for them, but it's all down to Saves by himself. We've seen some wonder shots tonight. We have seen some wondrous multi-kills, but something tells me we're not going to see Saves be able to do this one all by himself. The shots come through, down to about 77 HP. 2 or 3 more will put this dream to bed, and G2 will find those 3 points they sorely need, and it'll be the side of NaVi falling ever closer to relegation. G2 bring it back 6 rounds back to back. My God, what a swing. And NaVi, my God, boys, it's time to get off Clubhouse and it's time to do some work on those attacks.
See, I want it known I never doubted G2. Scrub back what I said at halftime, get rid of it, get it off the board, never doubt the boys, and that's why my predictions have been so on point today, is because G2, well, they were just giving us a match. They were giving us a bit of a show there, Des, and shout out to Uno, who had a fantastic second half. He didn't really have a good first half at all, dying multiple times there to Joe, as we said.